Hi, vacation rental owner or manager. Welcome to Step Up Your STR, where we talk specialized decorating as a major part of making max revenue in your business. This episode will decode the 2025 interior design trends, the good, bad, and the ugly. All my clients earn in the top 10% of their area competition, so I want to break this down for you. Listen in. Happy New Year. Let's get right to it. Trends. Let's start with the good. These 2025 trends are worth incorporating into your rental because they're stylish, practical, and guest-friendly. These are the ones that help your space stand out online in a good way. First up, Western style. I love that this trend is coming forth because it's authentic, American inspired, and it's full of character. Some elements of this trend are warm earth tones, leather, natural materials like wood and stone, and details like woven textures and cowhide accents. It's a great choice for rentals anywhere in the West, really, the Southwest, mountain regions, and any urban area where you want to create a rustic meets modern vibe. Guests love spaces that feel unique and rooted in a sense of place, and Western style does that beautifully. Another beautiful trend is using real stone over manufactured. For example, using marble or granite on countertops instead of man-made quartz or, a laminate. This isn't really a trend, in my opinion. It's actually a timeless feature. The closer you get to nature, the more timeless it is. If you look at kitchens from 100 or 150 years ago, you'll see countertops made of marble or soapstone. The floors will be wood or a tile made from natural stone like a limestone. It's really only in these modern days that we get plastic substitutes for those gorgeous natural materials. So if you're renovating or building, go for natural materials like real stone, real wood, and forgo that manufactured stuff. Next, pre-used furniture. Let's talk about why this is a win-win. Not only can you find quality pieces for less, but older furniture is often made better than today's mass-produced options. They have real, woodworkers' joints like mortise and tenon or dovetail. Nothing is stapled together. Also, buying secondhand is sustainable, which is a value that many travelers appreciate, and they will recognize that. As for where to find these pieces, I scored amazing wood items on Facebook Marketplace and a few times at thrift stores. A solid wood coffee table, vintage dresser, those are some of the great pieces I found. And when you use pre-used furnishings, they really add a lot of charm and also durability to your rental. Now, let's talk about warm-toned woods. I've mentioned these a little bit already. Warm-toned woods like oak. Warm tones are making a big comeback. I would say last year and definitely into this coming year, and for good reason. There's nothing like the feel of real wood. It's inviting, it's timeless. Unlike that cold gray furniture and flooring made of plastic that we've seen so much of, like 6, 8 years ago. So if you're upgrading your flooring or adding furniture, choose warm wood tones. They don't have to be orange. They don't have to be in your face, but have them lean warm. They photograph beautifully and they'll create a cozy atmosphere that guests will love. And this will be a style that will last a long time. Another trend to embrace is bringing nature inside. This is called biophilic design. An easy way to do it is with statement greenery. A few well-placed plants can make a really big impact. So whether it's a fiddle leaf fig, a monstera, even a ficus tree, or go with high quality faux plants. This is actually what I generally recommend. And it looks great. you often can't even tell the difference. But having that sense of greenery adds life to your space. And guests love that feeling of freshness and vitality that only plants will bring. Just make sure that they're easy to care for, or faux plants, so that maintenance doesn't become a headache. Finally, another amazing trend is unique lighting. Lighting is like jewelry for your room. It's the finishing touch that can make or break the design. And the best part is you don't have to spend a fortune. There are many vendors now that will offer really affordable options for beautiful lighting. Look for pendant lights and wall sconces, statement table lamps, because these actually can double as art pieces. Also look for chandeliers for your overhead lights. And these don't have to hang down far. If your ceilings are just the standard 9-foot high ceilings, look for what's called a flush mount chandelier or semi-flush mount. And those hang up closer to the ceiling so that people won't hit their head on it. A big tip here is to get your overhead lighting big enough for your space. A good rule of thumb is to add the length and the width of your room, and that is a good diameter for your overhead fixtures. So for example, for a smallish 10-foot by 10-foot room, you add that 20, you would ideally have a 20-inch wide overhead light fixture. I think you can fudge it a little bit and go 3/4 of that number. So a 10 by 10 room could have a 15 to 20-inch diameter overhead light, and it would still look proportional to the space. Now, these touches with lighting can make a really big difference in how designerly, if I can make up a word, how designerly your space looks. And a rental that looks amazing is memorable because there are so few of them. There are really so few great, beautiful rentals that I've seen and that I've seen near me. Certainly there are more tragic ones than beautiful ones. And again, remember, you don't have to blow your budget to get there. Next, let's look at the bad trends, the ones that might seem appealing in some ways at first glance, but they won't hold up in an STR setting. First on the list, antiques. Don't get me wrong, I love a beautiful antique in the right space, but they're not practical for rentals. Antiques are often delicate, easy to break, which is the last thing that you want when guests are on your property. Antiques are better suited for your own personal home or maybe a boutique bed and breakfast where you can probably better control the environment. So in general, skip those antiques. Next on the bad list is dramatic drapery or overdone window treatments. You've probably seen these in fancy interiors or in very old antique homes. Here we're thinking floor to ceiling, heavy fabric, lots of pleats and swags. And we are trending towards these in design as we did in the 1980s. And while they can look great in person, the fabrics are often so sumptuous, they rarely photograph well. In fact, I would say they hardly ever photograph well. And that's a deal breaker for STRs. Guests will book your place based on your photos. So stick to simple, clean window treatments like roller shades or simple curtains. Another no-go trend is glass furniture and accessories. They can look chic and upscale, but because they're glass, they're fragile and they will break at some point. Imagine the stress of trying to replace a shattered glass coffee table after a guest accidentally sets their heavy luggage on it. Just skip the headache and choose durable materials instead, like wood, metal, resin, acrylic. Finally, let's talk about the ugly trends, the ones that can actively hurt your rental's appeal. First, pattern mixing. So here, just imagine, you've probably seen it before, imagine busy patterned wallpaper on all the walls, plus a large patterned rug and a huge piece of art that has a lot of color in it. You combine all of that with a really loud patterned blanket covering the bed. This look is rather trendy right now in high-end design circles, but it's incredibly hard to get right. And in photos, it typically looks messy and chaotic, even when a really high-end designer has done it. And this will likely turn potential guests away. If anything looks chaotic or messy online, people aren't going to think they'll feel comfortable there. Now, don't get me wrong, I love patterns, but in smaller doses, like on pillows. Overall, however, keep your designs simple. That's the easiest way to make your STR look cohesive and great in online photos. Next, skirted tables. I actually call these the granny panties of furniture design. They're outdated, they're unattractive, and they just scream cheap solution. Please don't use skirted tables in your rental. Guests don't want something that looks like it came from their grandma's attic. The final ugly trend, at least ugly where vacation rentals are concerned, is color drenching. This is where you would paint an entire room, walls, ceiling, trim. Sometimes you even match the floor to it, and you do it all in one color. Plus, you're using furniture in that same or similar color. Often it's a dark, deep, moody color, like a deep burgundy, dark gray, or a really deep eggplant purple. Don't do this in your rental. Unless your space is painted all white, color drenching will make a room feel dark and claustrophobic, including in online photos, including, in all instances, online and in person. Guests crave bright, clean, open spaces. Steer clear of color drenching. All right, I hope that these trend guidelines are helpful because the design of your STR has a direct impact on your revenue. How good or how bad your decor is directly correlates with how much or how little revenue you earn. A well-decorated rental is worth it. Not only does it get you more bookings, but it also commands higher nightly rates. Guests are willing to pay more for spaces that are stylish, comfortable, and thoughtfully designed. Remember, great design doesn't have to break the bank. Trends like pre-used furnishings, statement greenery, and unique lighting, these can be very budget-friendly ways to elevate your property. And at the same time, avoid costly mistakes like antiques, glass furniture, or overly dramatic design elements. Avoid those and you'll save time, money, and stress. Now, if you have a friend in the vacation rental industry who might benefit from this info, would you please pass this episode on to them? My goal is to make the very complex process of decorating an STR, to make that process better and easier on you so that you can focus on what matters most, running a successful business. Thanks for tuning in today. And again, if you found value in this episode, please share it. And Happy New Year. I look forward to talking again next time.